who was famous. What was his special position in Chaitanya Lila? Who knows Ishvara Puri's position in Chaitanya Lila? That's quite a simple question. I'm surprised, other than here, he's keeping his mouth closed, but other than Rishikesh, I'm surprised no one else can answer me. Put your hand up if you know what Ishvara Puri, his role was in Krishna Lila. Well, not Krishna Lila, in Chaitanya Lila. Gaur Lila. But yeah, chair would be much, much better. It's kind of, I'm forgetting about it, but it's actually quite awkward sitting in this cushioned thing. Definitely bad for the back, that's for sure. Thanks, Paul. Okay, musical chairs. No.
Let's try.
Yeah. This is, I think maybe this will be okay. Let us see. Sorry about this, folks. Yeah, that's fine. No, it's fine. It's just I'll have to put the computer on my lap. At least I can see you now. I could hardly see anyone before. I could see the front row and that was it. Hare Krishna. Jai. So maybe you can now, maybe you had your hands up, I couldn't see. Who knows who Ishvara Puri is in Gaur Lila? Yes.
He's the guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes. That sounds strange, doesn't it? Who's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? It's Krishna. So, is he Krishna's guru? Krishna has a guru? In some ways you could say yes. In some ways you could say no, but he does. In all of his, not all, but most of his various appearances in this world, we see, at least in the Leela avatars, we see that he has a guru. Lord Ramchandra had a guru, Krishna had a guru, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a guru. Most of the Leela avatars anyway. Pastimes. So, what does that mean? What does this mean? Lord Chaitanya has a guru. What do we make of that? Yes, Prabhu?
We need a guru.
We need a guru. Okay, one of the things which Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, famous verse, who can think of something referring to that? Yes? Pardon? Okay, that's a very specific verse on the necessity of accepting a guru in order to understand the absolute truth. What else can we say in terms of Krishna, for instance? Speaking about, he's talking to Arjuna, isn't he? And Arjuna's hesitating to perform his duty. But Krishna says, you have to perform your duty. Yeah? What famous verse is there? There are many famous verses. In terms of showing others by example, let's take another aspect here. It's important, it's absolutely necessary to accept a spiritual master. That's, all the Vedas declare this as a necessity, no matter what one's path. It's essential, absolutely imperative. It's not a choice, it's a necessity. So it's also, another thing is, so Krishna is showing that, the necessity, and all great acharyas show that. And he's also showing, so that is an example. So in regards to an example, what does Krishna say? Yes. Yes, very good. Tat evitut. Syat praman kurute, lokas tadanavartate. What does Krishna say? In English. He didn't say it in English exactly, but he's saying in English now. Yes?
So, what are the statements? So what are the statements I'm going to say? Oh, sorry. What are those statements? I'll paraphrase it.
You'll paraphrase, no problem.
What are the statements? Example, mean 6. comment will follow.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more. I'm sorry, Maharaj.
There's a lot more. Well, you've got the essence of it, isn't it? You know, whatever a great man does, come and follow in the footpaths. And whatever standards they set by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So they show a standard. Don't need to. You know, when most of you are parents, you show by example, don't you, for your children? You're supposed to, right? They learn more by what they see than what you say, practically. If they see you behaving nicely, they pick that up, pick up your habits, behaviors, etc. They see you fighting and arguing, and you generally find that they also grow up like that. The example of the parents is very essential. The example of leaders, spiritually or otherwise, is very influential and very important in society. All the world pursues, follows in the footsteps, so to speak. So Lord Chaitanya is also setting an example here for all to follow. What else? So we've got, what was it? The necessity of accepting a spiritual master, the example for others to follow. What else? That part? Well, that's something you could say a little different, but in terms of why Lord Chaitanya accepts a spiritual master.
Is the best Kutastva Kashmalam Idam Vishamyasam Upasthitam, which is the chastisement that Krishna is giving to Arjuna, where from this importance has come into your heart. This does not befit someone who is pursuing the higher progressive
Yeah, I'm sure it was right. I couldn't quite catch it. There's a verse spoken by Krishna to Arjuna where he explains what?
So in this case, it's a chastisement.
Chastisement.
So the spiritual master, Krishna assumes the role of the spiritual master, the very first verse.
Yeah. Well, in regards to Lord Chaitanya accepting initiation from Ishvara, Puri, I'm not talking of Bhagavad Gita, but in that, how does that fit into that?
So Ishvara Puri also chastises Lord Chaitanya about getting too caught up in the Vedas and
Oh, that's another thing which comes later on. It's definitely true, it's definitely related. But I don't know if that's... Yeah, it could be. The Lord Chaitanya is teaching us that we need to be chastised. Could say that, although that may not go down as a particularly attractive aspect. But there's another one too, or maybe more.
Maybe one step taking from parampara, like if the Puri comes from.
Yeah, okay. In parampara, Lord Chaitanya told us we should accept initiation in parampara, and how the knowledge of spiritual knowledge comes down through the parampara, even parampara, bhaktamam, raja, etc. So, yeah. Well, here's the other one. What brings the Lord the most pleasure?
Service to the devotees.
Pardon?
Service to the devotees.
Service to the devotee.
One, please. I can't remember. Wow. One. You said something.
Service to the devotee.
Service to the devotees. Okay. What does that mean? What do you mean, service to the brings the Lord the most pleasure? Does that mean you serve the devotees? That brings pleasure to the Lord. Okay, great. What else? I mean, taking that one more further, yes? Okay, that's another thing. But let's stick to the relationship here between Ishvara, Puri and Lord Chaitanya.
Surrendering to Guru.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned earlier on the necessity of surrender or acceptance of the Guru. Let's take this point, service to the devotees, which was made up there, is very, very related to this point. Yes.
When you serve your spiritual master will bring you Krishna.
Okay, that's for sure. But let's stick to this. Why Lord Chaitanya accepted a spiritual master. And it's all related. I'm not saying it's not right, but a different angle. But the closest we got to was just now service to the devotees. I think it was the closest. Maybe wrong. And I asked, what brings Krishna pleasure? What makes him feel very happy? Okay, let's put it to a day-to-day basis. What makes you as a parent, many of you are parents here, let's take the father, what makes you feel happy in relationship with your son? No, thank you.
Kids reciprocate with the love.
Kids reciprocate, very good. Let's see how we can explain it. Maybe it's not so easy to explain it in terms of a family relationship. Do you prefer it when your son serves you or you serve them? They're both good. They're both pleasing. But your natural propensity is to serve your son. Your son is dependent on you, isn't it? So Krishna's natural propensity is to serve his devotees. This is the essence, basically, of spiritual life. Is that Krishna likes to serve. Although he's the master of all, we're all his servants. He prefers to serve his devotees than be served. Does it make sense? He prefers, and in his heart of hearts, he's not going to deny anyone's service by any means. But in his heart of hearts, he's much happier when he serves his devotees. And there's unlimited examples of this. In many of the various forms of Krishna we know about, there could probably be many examples if we think carefully of how happy the Lord is to put his devotees up on a higher platform than himself, isn't it? To glorify his devotees with even Arjuna, Hanuman. He placed them on a higher platform in some ways. They were the heroes, you know. He wants to see his devotees glorified. He wants to glorify. He's much happier because the devotee is more dear to him than his very self. More dear than his own self. Just like your kids, especially the mothers of fathers also. Many times your children are more dear to you than yourself, right? You'll give up your own life for your child, isn't it? It's just the way it is. That's how nature has it. It comes from Krishna. It may be perverted in this world, but it's still natural. So Krishna loves to see his devotees glorified. He loves to put Krishna as a baby with, he's being served by his parents, right? They're treating him, most people think, he's bringing pleasure, and then Krishna loves to serve his devotees. It's a reciprocation. People don't usually think that our only business is to serve Krishna, which is constitutionally our position. But pleasing Krishna means also that reciprocation. So in this particular case, you'll see in a minute when we read through some of the verses regarding Ishvara, Puri and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this reciprocation of exchange between Lord and Master, where the Lord takes the role of servant and the servant takes the role of, in a sense, of Master. And Krishna is much more pleased. He's happy. He likes to accept service from his devotees and glorify them. That's Krishna's position. So we're going to read a little bit tonight about Ishvara Puri. And there's so many things we could read about him, but we haven't got time. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. In the pastimes of Lord Krishna and Balaram, when they went to the ashram of Sandipani Muni, and when they, of course, at that time they were being given this education, where you could say one of their parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, sent them there, and Sandipani Muni taught them all the various arts and sciences of, which are to be taught in the Gurukul. And of course they picked it up immediately without any ado. Why, how? Because this is all coming from them. It's not their learning something new, knowledge comes from Krishna. So it's like this. For instance, I think a few days ago you had a rain, I don't know if you had it in Wellington, but in Auckland, in New Plymouth, even in Christchurch, they had a lot of rain. Perhaps you had here also. So where does the rain come from? Where does it come from? Huh? Pardon? Yeah. Yajna. People in Wellington are performing yajna. He may be. There's kind of a yajna, but not a very good one. They're working in factories and doing all kinds of things. I mean, that's traditional, but let's say, let's talk about climatically. Let's not get too spiritual about this now. Climatically, where does it come from? Huh? Clouds, the clouds. Now, if you know nothing else, you'll think the clouds are the source of the rain, right? Now, where did the cloud get its water from? The ocean. Where did the ocean get its water from?
The lakes and rivers.
Huh?
The lakes and rivers.
Rivers. You can go around in a circle, in a sense. I don't know how much water, how much that really replenishes the ocean. It's very small, but that's the cycle, isn't it? The water comes out of the ocean, it's evaporated, condensation, it falls down as rain, and then it pours back into the ocean. At least some of it does. Whatever, but the ocean is refilled again, although it's very small, but that's how it goes on. So it appears to us, for instance, that the clouds are the source of the rain, but it's really the ocean. So, like that, it appears that Ishvara Puri is, the spiritual master, Lord Sandipani Muni is the spiritual master of Krishna. He's teaching him, but where from he got that knowledge? From Krishna, Vishnu. So it's a reciprocation. Krishna likes to receive that service from his pure devotee. Because if we can't serve Krishna, then how on earth are we going to advance in Krishna consciousness? So it's reciprocal. It's both a service to his devotee and the devotee serving Krishna like that. Krishna is very happy like that. To put himself in an inferior position, to serve Sandipani Muni menially, and Sandipani Muni is teaching the sciences which come from Krishna. This is natural. As you may have with your child, sometimes you give your child a bar of chocolate or something, whatever you give your child, and your child offers you some chocolate back. How do you feel? I hope so. You say, oh, nonsense. I just gave that to you. Why are you giving it back to me? Nonsense. I don't need that. That won't be very inspiring for the child, will it? Certainly not. Your loveliness, thank you, darling. Right? You'll be, head over heels. Your child is reciprocating like that out of love or whatever. This is because it's in Krishna, so it's reciprocation. So Ishvara Puri is taken as bishop because he's a great devotee, the parampara disciplic succession. The other points mentioned, the necessity of acceptance of a spiritual master, the example for others to follow, and also loving exchange. Loving exchange is the main, as far as Krishna is concerned, the main point, isn't it? Other things are in relationship with the material world. The loving exchange is spiritual reciprocation. So it's the key one. From our point of view, of course, it's necessity and example and so on. We don't think in terms of, whatever. We're not on that level. We're trying to come to the platform of servant to the servant. So we're going to read something now about this little reciprocation, and hopefully we can learn something. Here we go. Om Jnana Timanandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Dhamaya Vedati Svavanti Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Upam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savrutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Bhagan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Radha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanu Sudhireve Purnamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Turu Viva Sindhu Yeta Vitalam Pavane Vaishnavebhyo Namo. It has to go that way. It's far too far. It's very delicate. That's better. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world for two purposes: to taste Krishna Prema and to spread the Sankirtan movement. They're one and the same in one sense, because it's through the spreading of the Sankirtan movement that Lord Chaitanya both tasted and distributed Krishna Prema through the performance of congregational chanting. This is the only means of success in this Kali Yuga. Every other service supports this principle. They're required for various reasons, but the chanting of the holy name is the essential activity for self-realization, God-realization in this age of Kali. So Lord Chaitanya came to give this freely to everyone, and in the execution of congregational chanting, in the association of devotees, following the proper process, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, one can awaken prema, love of Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his early years, when he appeared in this world, he did not openly manifest these purposes. As most of you are familiar with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's early life, to some extent at least, Lord Chaitanya was performing pastimes, more or less scholarly pastimes. Some conjugal pastimes were there, but they weren't shared with others. They were with his consort, Lakshmi Priya, later Vishnu Priya, and he was also experiencing, or let's say, reciprocating Vatsalya Bhav with Mother Sachi and Jagannath Mishra and other senior members like Srivas Thakur, Rachachar and others, and their wives, of course. He was also reciprocating friend pastimes with the coward, not the coward boys. At that time they didn't know they were coward boys, but they were his scholarly friends, school friends, schoolmates. Like this, he was actually performing, or let's say relishing, all these rasas, but it wasn't revealed to the world. They were just natural events. They were, as any kid would, with his mother, with friends, and of course when he had his consort, his wife, with his wife, like that. But it wasn't revealed beyond that, practically speaking. And he was especially interested in scholarship. He was sometimes known as a wrangling pandit. He would tease other scholars in various ways, challenge them in other ways, defeat them. Not necessarily humiliate, sometimes humiliate, sometimes not. Defeating it. He was undefeatable. He seemed to be simply interested in logic, nyaya, grammar, and debate. Didn't seem to be showing objective goal of love of God. Didn't seem to be showing it at that point in time, although it was going on unknown to the world around. So at a certain point of time, when he was a teenager, maybe, I don't know exactly what age, mid-teens or something, his father, Ishvara, left the world. Of course, this was, in one sense, a big, Mother Sachi, of course, was a big blow for her, and she really then relied on her son Nimai. Her other son, Vishrupa, already left home to take sannyas. So Nimai was, all in all, she had nothing else but Nimai. Nimai assured her, don't worry, I will look after you, basically. So when the father passed away, Ishvara, after some time, Nimai, Pandit Gaur Hari, decided to go to Gaya. Some of you will have been to Gaya, I'm sure. Who's been to Gaya? Bodh Gaya. They usually call Bodh Gaya. Gaya. Bodh Gaya. Who's been to Gaya? Classes go on. Who's been to Gaya? Nobody? I'm surprised. Of course, maybe not so much now, but in India it's common for people to go to Gaya. Why? Excuse me?
Shrad.
What's that?
Shrad.
Shraddha. Yeah, for the benefit for the of one's ancestors, one's parents, or somebody in the line, to offer various prayers, pinda, to the deity of Lord Vishnu. Especially in Gaya, there's this famous temple. I don't know what it's called. I've been one time, but there's a temple there, and there are the deity footprints. They're there, the Lord Vishnu. So the actual footprints. So at that place, people go to deliver. The idea is to deliver their forefathers, whoever they're, offering prayers for. But they may get liberated. So Lord Chaitanya decided that he would do that. That was the guise in which he did decide to go, that he would go there, as many did, to perform pindo, offer this different offerings for the benefit of forefathers in the family. But that wasn't the real purpose he went there, but that was the guise, in the guise of going there, the excuse of going there. Earlier on, before this happened, in fact, Mishu was still present, a certain person arrived one day, and we're not going to have time to read this part, but they arrived there in Navadvip, and they were staying in the house of Gopinath Acharya, who was an associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's family, and his father and so on. He was staying there in Gopinath's house, and Lord Chaitanya got the chance to associate with him. And Lord Chaitanya decided that this will be my spiritual master, this person. And he heard from him, Ishvara Puri had written one book, I've forgotten the name, but he written a book which he read to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a small boy at the time, and others who were present there. But Lord Chaitanya decided, concluded, this will be my spiritual master in the future. But nothing was said then. They entertained Ishvara Puri in their house, and Mishra Sachimata entertained him and so on. So then at this point in time, Lord Chaitanya decided now is the time to take this step forward and open the door so that the whole world can come in. Up to this point it was very localized. So he went to Gaya on the guise of, taking the opportunity to offer pindas at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, and it's a very special event, and one's forefathers can be delivered, but that wasn't really why Lord Chaitanya went there, but he did anyway, and he visited these holy places there in Gaya, the pastimes on the way, but as he was there in that temple, I'm going to start reading. By the divine will of the Supreme Lord, at that moment, Sri Ishvara Puri arrived at that place. There's a commentary by Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. This is from a book called Chaitanya Bhagavat, the translation translations were done by others, but the commentary is done by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. Commentary. When Lord Sri Gaurasundar's hair stood on end due to love of God, while seeing his own lotus feet, by the will of the Lord and by providence, Sri Ishvara Puripad arrived there as a Mahanta Guru. The epitome of Guru is like the topmost Guru. In order to serve his own Lord by assisting him in his pastimes. This is the service of Ishvara Puri, to serve the Lord like this. In order to disclose that he is a descendant of Srimad Purna Pragya Madhavacharya Ananda Tirtha in the Vedic disciplic succession, Sri Gaurasundar, who is the Supreme Lord of all Acharyas, inspired Ishvara Puripad to come there, all orchestrated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He inspired him to come there. On seeing Sri Ishvara Puri, Sri Gaurasundar respectfully offered him obeisances. The Lord offered his own devotee obeisances. Ishvara Puri was also delighted to see Gaurachandra, and he happily embraced him. Vaishnava etiquette, culture, Vedic culture, of course, even world culture. One offers respect to a senior person, as a child offers respect to his parents, and so on and so forth. Similarly, Lord Gaurachandra, being junior in age, offered his respects to Ishvara Puri. And Ishvara Puri happily embraced him. He was very happy. In the ecstasy of meeting each other, they both became soaked with tears of love. The Lord said, "My journey to Gaya has become successful the moment I was able to see your lotus feet." So most people go to Gaya to see the lotus feet of Vishnu, but what can we see with our material eyes? What can we see? Of course, there's great benefit there, but frankly speaking, we don't have the vision to really see the Lord, the deity, etc. But the deity is seeing us, and we're seeing our consciousness and our intentions, etc. It's getting warmer now, I think. And we get purified in that way. So the real essence, and I'll just read a few verses here. We go to holy places of pilgrimage, Vrindavan, Puri, Mayapur, Tirupati, whatever it may be. Different places are there, Dwarka, Badri, and so many places in South India, Sri Rangam and Udupi and so on. We may go to many places of pilgrimage or places of worship of Lord Shiva like Kashi and so on. But what do we go there for? Why do we go there? Shopping? Something? Sightseeing? I don't really know, you're just in a group that goes there. Why do we go there? This is the essential feature, isn't it? That Yashyatn Buddhi Kundapetrutadake Sudev Kalatradishu Bome Jadi Yatirta Buddhi Shulaleka Chichanesha Vigeshadev Kokara. One who thinks themselves this material body as a self, one who considers their offspring as their own, their place of birth as worshipable, one who thinks like this, or who goes to the holy places of pilgrimage to look at the idols, take a bath, say some prayers, please give me money, please give me this, give me that, and so on and so forth, but don't care about saintly persons. Or they may care about them, maybe you give them a little dakshina or something, it's nice, but don't hear from them. Don't hear from them. No need. Such a person is Saiva Gokara. He's as good as an animal. Animals also do that, more or less. They walk in slowly down, taking their baths and going here and there. That's not the point. The purpose of going there is to hear. The essence is to take the opportunity to associate with saintly persons. That's the essence. Which Lord Chaitanya is also teaching here. This is another lesson from this particular, it's a detail of this pastime, but it's another lesson. That he himself, although he's gone there, together with thousands of others to perform Pinda, and there's in front of the deity of Lord Vishnu, the lotus feet of, mark of his lotus feet is there. But he's saying that this is the real, say, purpose of my coming. This is the essence. This is the fruit of my going to Gaya. Now I've seen your lotus feet. Why? What happens when you get that opportunity? To see the lotus feet of a pure devotee of the Lord. And what does that mean exactly? Expansion, please. Huh? Yes, very good. You got it. I didn't hear a word you said, but I'm sure it's right. Anyone has something to say? Why? What is the result of this? Why is it so important? Don't all speak at once. Why is it so important?
It gives us the inspiration to take up devotional service.
Okay, they inspire us to take up devotional service. We're back in a sense to where we started. This is the only way to approach Krishna, through his devotees. You can't approach Krishna directly. You can stand in front of the deity for millions of lifetimes, but with not having the right conception or understanding. That's where we remain. Maybe a little reverential, you might gain some reverential situation. To understand our real nature and our relationship with the deity by the mercy of the devotees. As long as we're attached, like the song, well, it wasn't this song, another song, of Naratam Gauranga Bolite Habe, Vishayo Choriyo Kabe, Shuddha Habe Man, Kabe Hama Helabo, Sri Vrindavan. What does that mean? It means you can get on the Qantas or Air New Zealand plane and fly to New Zealand, and fly to Vrindavan, right? And rent a 5,000 rupee a night apartment, an MBT or something like that. Is that what it means? What does it mean? Vishaya Chariya Kabe Shuddha Habimun Kabe Hama Herabo Sri Vrindavan. Sri Vrindavan, you might have caught that word. Vishaya Chariya. This is you could say, the ticket. You have to get a ticket. If you buy a ticket, you've got to give something up, right? What do you have to give up to buy a ticket on the plane? What is that? Money. Oh, that was clever. Very, very intelligent. Well done. Money, it's a little bit of a sacrifice. You search around, you save 10 cents on this one over that one, and try to jiggle the prices so you save money. It's austerity to give up money. We've got to give something up. If you want something else, you have to give up something. So there's a price, although sometimes giving it is free, but to get the actual fruit, you have to be willing to give up something. And that is sense gratification, Vishaya Chariya Kabe. You have to give up material sense gratification. The price of going back to Godhead, of entry into Vrindavan. So the pure devotees, service to the pure devotees, by the way, is the gateway. You've got to go through the customs and immigration when you arrive in Delhi, I guess, wherever you arrive, Chennai, wherever it is. When you arrive, you You have to have your visa, you have to have, maybe you've got to have a, what's it called, PCR test or something? Nowadays, I don't know what they're asking nowadays. Different things, and you've got to have a ticket, return ticket. Of course, you don't need a return ticket to Vrindavan. It's a one-way ticket, but still, you have to have everything in place, otherwise you can't enter in. Even if you got your ticket to go to India, unless you got your visa, they won't let you in, right? Maybe you're all Indian, what do they call it? OCI or something? Maybe you've got your OCIs, but we Westerners, or whatever we're called, have to have visas, right? To enter in. You've got an OCI also? Anyway, whatever. We need a visa. And if you haven't got a visa, ticket's not enough. Even the PCR test is not enough. But I got my test, but you haven't got your visa. You got a ticket, you haven't got your visa. But you got an invitation, but you haven't got your visa. You have to have the visa also to enter into the spiritual world. So service to the devotees is the actual, you could say, eligibility to enter into the spiritual realm. And we go to these holy places, which are like embassies of the spiritual world. And there, we have an opportunity to get the visa. You have to get the visa from the embassy. So the embassy, you have to get it from, ultimately, the ambassador. So the ambassador of the country is the spiritual master, or the pure devotees of the Lord. They're like ambassadors of the spiritual realm. So you have to get, either directly or indirectly, you have to get the visa through them. You can't go directly. You've got to get the visa through the right source. So they're the source, the gateway, the opening to the spiritual world. So one has to take that step in order to go that step further. Otherwise you can get to the border, but you can't enter in. Well, here's something interesting. This is a song, actually, by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which we're not going to sing. Manatumi Tita Sudivata. And he sings all about the holy places of pilgrimage. My dear mind, you are always attached to the different places of pilgrimage, such as Ayodhya, Mathura, Hardwar, Kashi, Kanchi, Avanti and Dwarka. You want to travel to all these holy places of pilgrimage again and again for the sake of obtaining liberation. But it is clear that your heart is not becoming resolutely fixed by going to all these places. Even you go, you're not resolute. Mind is still wandering. Therefore, all of your wanderings are simply useless labor. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, what time do we have to take bath in holy places of pilgrimage or visit holy sites? Of course, he encourages the disciples to do it, and he even took them to these places. He said, what real time do we have? We don't have time for that. He was so absorbed in hearing and chanting about Krishna, he thought, no time for that. Spreading kirtaniya. The real benefit of visiting any holy place is to achieve the association of the pure-hearted devotees of the Lord living there. That's the real benefit. Establishing intimate and friendly relations with such great souls, let your heart be captivated by performing the charming worship of Lord Krishna in their association. Nice, huh? Wherever the Lord's devotees are living, that place becomes a place of pilgrimage. Wherever it is, it can be in Lower Hut, and it can be a place of pilgrimage. You don't have to go anywhere. Wherever you are, that can become a place of pilgrimage. There's a famous verse, therefore you should become fixed by constantly remaining in the company of such devotees. Now, you may not have the physical company, but we can associate through their words, through their writings, through their instructions, etc., etc. And there's a beautiful verse, and this was quoted earlier today, I think in the car. Where is it? No, this is another one. It comes later. I never visit any so-called place of pilgrimage that is devoid of the presence of unalloyed devotees. Don't go there. We don't just go there to want to see it. It's also nice, it might remind us of our objective goals. But the real purpose of going to Vrindavan is to hear from exalted Vaishnavas, to render service. Nice to it's also nice just to go there, but our goal is not just liberation. Our goal is love of Godhead. It's not just to get liberated from birth and death, which you may get, but that's not our goal. Love of Godhead is only possibly available from those who have it. You can't get money from someone who doesn't have money, as far as I know. Don't ask me, please, for any money. I have to keep it secret. I'm loaded. Wherever there are devotees, that is actually Vrindavan. You don't need to go for far distant places. Only there can one find unlimited spiritual pleasure. It goes on, so many nice quotations are there. What benefit would I get by circumambulating all the holy places of pilgrimage? My vow is to serve the Vaishnavas with firm resolution and untiring endeavor. And then he goes on to explain, if you offer a pindo or whatever, oblations to the forefathers, only they gain the benefit. But by seeing the lotus feet of a pure devotee, millions of forefathers are immediately freed from material bondage. The whole family benefits. Millions according to this. Therefore, holy places are not equal to you, for you purify even the holy places. This is Lord Chaitanya speaking to Ishvara Puri. You purify. In fact, even the mother Ganges, Ganga Devi, she approached, I think it's Anantasamhita, one of the scriptures, describes that she was thinking, I do not want to hang around in Kali Yuga. All that will happen in this age is that people will come, take their path, and think, now I can become free to my sinful reactions. Finished. In other words, she becomes like a dump. You know, where you dump your garbage. She didn't really want to hang around. She didn't want to hang around. But Krishna assured her, no, stay around. Because I will be appearing soon in this age of Kali. And he himself said, of course, he would bathe in the water. But not only that, but I will send Mantrupashika. Mantrupashika means the worshipper of the holy name, who will go all over the world and will bring people of all walks of life, races, every type of person, to devotional service, to chant the holy name of Krishna. And they will come and they will bathe in your waters and you will feel great happiness. Like this. So she was excited and decided to stay on a little bit longer, at least for another few thousands of years. Ganga will still bless the world with her presence. Yes. Here's a famous verse in the Bhagavatam. Bhava vida bhagavatas tirtabhutas svayam vivo tirti karvanti tirtani svantakstena gadabita. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. This is Maharaj Yudhishthira speaking to. Control your senses, young man. Now this is a great way not to control your senses, but in some cases you do have to even do that. Who is he speaking to? I'll read the verse again. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified, because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart. You turn all places into places of pilgrimage. Pardon? Yudhishthira is speaking to? No. Good suggestion. You weren't the first one to say that. Someone said that earlier too when we read this verse. Who is he speaking to? Okay. Very good. Well done, Vidura. See, you have to come all the way from Palmerston North to enlighten all you hut people, you hut men. You've been living in a hut too long. Come out of your huts. Vidura, like Yudhishthira Maharaj's uncle. So he's a very great soul. We'll carry on. Lord Chaitanya says, please deliver me from the ocean of material existence. I surrender myself unto you. Lord Chaitanya is speaking, amazing. And there's a wonderful purport which we don't have time, it's flying by so quickly. The importance of taking shelter, Guru Padashraya, of a guru or spiritual authority. This is how we approach Krishna, only through the Guru can one get Krishna. Guru, Krishna sends the Guru. Guru is the gateway or the only path to reach Krishna. He teaches the path, the Abhideya. I beg that you make me drink the nectar of Krishna's lotus feet. So it's interesting. The lotus feet are there, but people can't drink the nectar. We're not able to drink her. Tongues are covered like a jaundiced person cannot taste the sweet sugar cane. So when we're cured of jaundice, then we can taste it. Similarly, one who is afflicted with the disease of avidya cannot taste the sweet nectar of the holy name. So he's begging that you can please become eligible or qualified, purified in the association of great devotees. We can become purified to taste that nectar of the holy name. Ishvara Puri said, listen, dear Pandit, I know without a doubt that you are an expansion of the Supreme Lord. Can anyone other than an expansion of the Supreme Lord possess the extraordinary learning and characteristics that you have? I had an auspicious dream last night, and today I've obtained the fruits of that dream. Oh Pandit, I'm telling you the truth. I'm feeling great ecstasy every moment since I've seen you. From this time I saw you in Nadia, my heart has had no other attraction. I'm speaking the truth, nothing else. When I see you, I feel the happiness of seeing Krishna. Hearing his beloved Ishvara Puri's truthful words, the Lord smiled and said, it is my great fortune. In this way the two exchanged many other pleasing words which will be described in the future by Vedavyas. The Lord then took leave of Ishvara Puri and went to offer oblations to his forefathers. And then there's a description of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going here and there around the holy Dham to offer various oblations and so on and so forth, and Shraddha offerings for the benefit of his forefathers, you could say, but it's all part of the pastime. And then, let's see, after completing his offerings of Shraddha and satisfying the Brahmins at all the recommended places, the Lord returned to his room. After he took some rest, the Lord then sat down to cook. The Lord was cooking himself, amazing. As soon as the Lord finished cooking, Ishvara Puri arrived there. Ishvara Puri's head was rolling back and forth in ecstatic love as he arrived there chanting the names of Krishna. The Lord immediately left the kitchen, and after respectfully offered obeisances, he seated Ishvara Puri comfortably. Ishvara Puri smiled and said, listen, O Pandit, I see I've come at the right time. It's like devotees, they always come at the right time, don't they? What time is prasadam? Now? There should be a long queue outside the door now waiting to get in normally. At any temple at least, that's what happens. You know, Arti, a few people, Bhagavatam class, even less than the Arti usually. They're all outside yakking away, gossiping. And then prasadam time, suddenly there's an avalanche. And if you happen to be in the class, you probably don't get any prasadam because they'll devour it all as quickly like vultures. was a bit over-descriptive there. It's often like that, isn't it? Prasadam time, they come out of the trees or at the ground, we don't know where they come from, parachuting down every way possible. They're swimming up the river to get there on time. Also for prasadam, that's the main part of the program, isn't it? Yeah, well, it is a major part of the program, but we also have to hear. So then the Lord said, it would be my good fortune if you accept your meal here today. Please, take your meal. Ishvara Puri smiled and said, then what will you eat? The Lord replied, I will cook again. Ishvara Puri said, what is the need for cooking again? Divide whatever you have in two. The Lord smiled and said, if you really want to please me, please, then you eat whatever I've cooked. I'll cook again within a moment. Take your meal without hesitation. The Lord then gave his meal to Ishvara Puri, happily went to cook for himself. Ishvara Puri's mind never deviated from the lotus feet of Krishna. Therefore the Lord bestowed such mercy on him. The Lord served Ishvara Puri with his own hands, and Ishvara Puri thus ate in great ecstasy. At that time, Rama Devi, the goddess of fortune, quickly cooked for the Lord, while remaining unseen by all. Then, after the Lord first fed Ishvara Puri, he happily ate himself. Rama Devi is his consort. There's another form of Radharani, another name, Rama. One who hears about the Lord taking his meal with Ishvara Puri will achieve the wealth of love of Krishna. You may not have a big bank balance. Which would you prefer? The wealth of love of Krishna or a big bank balance? Be honest. Arjuna or what's his name? Duryodhana. Which one are we? Which one are we?
Trying to be Arjuna.
Trying to be Arjuna, but still a bit attached to Duryodhana. Yeah. We still have a little bit of conditional, don't we? We still want some of that. It takes time. Yes. The Lord then, with his own hands, smeared sandalwood paste on the body of Ishvara Puri. Who has the ability to describe the Lord's love for Sri Ishvara Puri? The Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya personally visited the birthplace of Ishvara Puri. He offered his obeisances to that place. Where Ishvara Puri appeared, he took dust from that place. Lord Chaitanya cried profusely at that place and just glorified the name of Ishvara Puri. He took dust. The dust from the birthplace of Ishvara Puri is my life, my wealth, and my living force. The Lord exhibited such affection for Ishvara Puri because he takes pleasure, this is what we were hearing earlier, he takes pleasure in increasing the glories of his devotees. This is, again, if we want to please Krishna, he's more pleased when you glorify his devotees than directly glorifying him. That brings him more pleasure. The Lord said, I came to Gaya to offer oblations. Now that I've seen Ishvara Puri, my journey has become successful. On another day, the Lord went privately to Ishvara Puri and in sweet words requested him for initiation. That's a beautiful purport, which describes a little bit about the essential features of initiation. And perhaps we'll read that tomorrow at lunchtime. I believe we're having an initiation ceremony tomorrow at the temple in Newlands. You're all welcome to come if you wish. So we'll read this purport tomorrow. It's good I found this. Ishvara Puri replied, what to speak of giving a mantra? I can give my life to you. If we think of it the other way around, normally, we think that the disciple wants to give their life to the spiritual master. But the spiritual master also gives their life for the sake of others. In this case, Ishvara Puri is, because he knows that Lord Chaitanya is the supreme. I want to give my life to you, not just a mantra. Lord Chaitanya gave him the mantra, and he gave it back to him. That's how it works. It's the same cycle that we heard earlier on. It comes from Krishna. We pass it back to Krishna. Even what we're trying to do is worshipping the Lord. Maybe you've made an offering already of bhoga to the deities. I don't know. But where does the bhoga come from? Krishna. Everything comes from Krishna. You're just taking what belongs to Krishna and offering it back to him. It's the false concept of I am the owner. I am the proprietor, which is given up. This is the process which helps clear us of this false conception of being the owner of anything, including our bodies and minds. We offer them to the service of the Lord. They belong. There is energy. They're not my energy. We may have a little use of them for a few years, but they're actually Krishna's energy. We may lease them for a few years, but we're not the owner. Then, in order to instruct everyone, the Lord accepted the 10-syllable mantra from Ishvara Puri. Now, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see another angle of this meeting. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that Krishnadas Kaviraj is explaining how his spiritual master told him to chant the Mahamantra. Now, there's two things here. There's Diksha and there's Siksha. So you receive the Diksha mantra, but the Siksha mantra, you could say, is the Mahamantra. For the Siksha mantra, we understand from Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's no actual need for initiation. You just receive it from the bona fide source, from the spiritual master. But the Diksha mantra, this 10-syllable mantra, comes from, generally we call it Brahmin initiation, which is not, again, is not ordinary, because in our line, Brahmin initiation is not just Brahmin initiation, Nayana, which your children may have when they're 7 years old even, or whatever it is. It's much more than that. This is a mantra which connects us. It's the same principle as the Maha Mantra. Connects us in loving devotion to the divine couple, Radha and Krishna. So the 10-syllable mantra is obviously not the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, that's 4. Hare Krishna, how much is that? 8. Krishna, Krishna, Hare, Hare. That's already 16, 32-syllable mantra. So it's not that one. And the secret, this is a secret, but I asked Mahananda Prabhu to search for it today. I mean, many of you know it already, you know it already, but I didn't realize that was the 10-syllable mantra that Lord Chaitanya received. And sometimes it's known as the Gopal mantra, a special mantra which is very specific, primarily for the Gaudiya Sampradaya, a special mantra which he received, introduced. You say Lord Chaitanya introduced this mantra for achieving the goal of life through Diksha. Really wonderful interaction there. So he gave that mantra to Ishvara Puri, who then gave it back, and then it's passed on. The Lord then circumambulated Ishvara Puri and said, I fully surrender myself unto you. Please glance mercifully on me, so that I may float in the ocean of love of Krishna. Hearing the Lord's words, Ishvara Puri embraced him. The bodies of both became soaked with their tears and agitated due to ecstatic love. In this way, while bestowing mercy on Ishvara Puri, Sri Gaudahari remained in Gaya for a few more days. And so they reciprocated with each other for several days. Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided, because he came there with many of his students from Navadvip, he said, I want you all to go back now to Navadvip. I am going on now to Mathura Vrindavan. I'm finished with this world. He had no interest in anyone. So he according to Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das, he proceeded towards Vrindavan. But after a few days, a divine voice came and reminded him of his mission, and thank God, and he returned back, because if he hadn't, we wouldn't be here today, would we? Or maybe another way around, but he then returned with his wife's voice, said, you should go back to Navadvip. Later on, you will go to Vrindavan, but for now, your mission, you have to start the mission of Sankirtan. So he went then back to Navadvip, and from that day on, Lord Chaitanya was a different person by external perspective. He was no longer that scholar who was interested in arguing with other scholars, establishing the right, whatever, understanding of various complicated Sanskrit terms and words and sentences, etc. Now he had no interest in it anymore. All he was interested in was Krishna, 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 Krishna. Day and night, madman. I thought he'd gone crazy. Mother Sachi was thinking he's gone crazy. He's bringing people in to try to check him out. Different psychologists and psychiatrists, whatever you call them nowadays. My son has gone mad. He's gone mad. But nothing they could do. It's the love of God. Lord Chaitanya is now manifesting in full extent love of Godhead and spreading it everywhere he's gone. Everyone became intoxicated with love of Godhead. So when Lord Chaitanya then later on, he did make his way to Vrindavan, and on his way to Vrindavan, he passed through Varanasi, and then on his way back he also passed through Varanasi. On his way back he decided, now my mission, he was a sannyasi by then of course, my mission is to deliver all things. But I see that the Mayavadis and the scholars and the, all these type of persons, Veda Vataratas and all these persons who are very proud of their knowledge or their learning are not taking shelter of the holy name. What hope do they have? So he decided he would try to deliver the Mayavadis in Varanasi. So whilst he was there, one devotee Brahmana who had made an arrangement to receive hundreds and thousands of Mayavadi sannyasis in his home. Just like today, we went to the house of, where's Kanda, was he here? Rasika Vishwapita, there he is. About 500 to 1,000 devotees went to his house this afternoon. And they served at least, maybe more than 1,000 devotees. They couldn't see them all there, they could only see a few of them. But there were thousands, the cooks are over here. There were thousands of devotees there, they just didn't see them. He didn't see them all. Thousands, relishing the devotion and the prasadam. So he invited them all to his home for prasadam. And thousands of sannyasis turned Mayavadis, all Mayavadis turned up. Kashi is famous for Mayavadis. And Lord Chaitanya also invited Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya accepted the invitation. Lord Chaitanya had played a trick already. He took sannyas from Keshava Bharati, who happened for the sake of Lord Chaitanya to take sannyas in the Bharati Sampradaya of the Shankara line. So he was accepted by them. They saw him as one of their own kind. So they said, come, come, come. So Lord Chaitanya sat down where everybody washed their feet. He wouldn't sit among, they were in an elevated place. But Lord Chaitanya sat in a very humble place, humility, a very humble way. And then Pakishananda leader pulled him in and said, please come, you look just like you are the Supreme Brahman, you are so fortunate, please come in. So they brought him in and they started talking. And after a while, the sannyasi was saying, what are you doing? You're a sannyasi in our family. You're behaving like a sentimental fool. What is all this dancing and chanting? This is not the business of sannyasis. This is the business of, low-class people, women and children and so on. May dance and chant, but not sannyasis. What are you doing? And Lord Chaitanya then recounted his experience with Ishvara Puri, that my spiritual master called me a fool. Spiritual master has the right to call a disciple fool, but when your disciple is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it does sound a little odd, to say the least. Lord Chaitanya was very very happy to receive this admonishment from the spiritual master. Why did he call him a fool? Why? Why? Now, when you have a very intimate relationship with somebody, you may joke with each other, you may call each other names. Others cannot do that necessarily, but very intimate relationships you may. Come on, you're just nonsense, you know. You can talk a little like that sometimes amongst close associates without any feeling of offense, you know. If the intimacy is, so that's one way you could look at it. But why did he call him a fool? Obviously, the disciple is a fool in front of the spiritual master. That's the mentality, you could say. I'm a fool. I just need to be corrected. So what else is there? Why he called him a fool? Come on, what's the story? The story itself tells the answer in one sense, doesn't it? You think you can understand the absolute truth through karma and jnana? You think you can understand the absolute truth through Sankhya analysis? You think you can understand the absolute truth through austerity? No. By, self-sense control? But many people do. We sometimes think we can understand the absolute truth also by study. It's part of devotional service. Even chant. We think, I will understand the absolute truth by doing this and this and this and this and this. And saying this and this and this. And going here and here and here. Is that how one understands the absolute? How do we understand the absolute truth? Get ready for this one, boy. It's a pump. You can't keep your mouth. I mean, it's great. I mean, when you've got something, you can't hold it back. You shouldn't. But death, there's only one way: devotional service. And what is devotional service? Is it an activity? Is it a concoction? Is it simply an activity? We think like that sometimes, don't we? Of course it's related, but there's more to it, isn't there? What is devotional service? You go that way, he goes this. Okay, you stay there. Okay. What's devotional service?
When you are serving the devotees in relation to the Supreme Lord.
Okay, that's the kind of practical, you could say, understanding. Is there anything more to it like that? Or service, you could then ask what service to the devotees. What would we say, this definition of devotional service, what is that? Very good. Meaning?
So it's service that's void of all jnana.
Devoid of all jnana, desire for becoming learned or knowledgeable or this or that. Not that you shouldn't be either, by the way, but that's not the motive and that's not the cause. Yes?
Devoid of all any ulterior motive other than to please us.
Any desire for any return. Usually we want some recognition, don't we? It's a common thing. We want to be recognized. If we don't get recognition, then bye-bye. I'm not coming there anymore. I never got recognized. They didn't treat me nicely and so on. Okay, that should be nicely treated, but our motivation should be devoid of that, not expecting anything in return. And no other motivation, not a desire for liberation or mystic powers or getting a nice house on the, in Wellington or something, whatever you want. I don't know what you want. But no other motivation whatsoever. Then what is the motivation?
To please the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, and what is that? Anukulyena. The favorable, the devotion has to be with favor. What does that mean? That means the intention is simply to please Krishna's senses. To please Krishna's senses. And we learn that from following in the footsteps of the great acharyas. This is a most famous definition of pure devotional service given by Rupa Goswami. And there's effectual statements too, but let's leave it at that one. Is it true devotional service only? And devotional service, again, is given by the spiritual master. Not we concoct. Just for instance, say chanting Hare Krishna, he said you chant Hare Krishna. This is Kali Yuga, there's another angle. In Kali Yuga anyway, how much austerity can you perform? How many sacrifices can you perform? How much meditation can you really do? How long can you sit still without moving an eyelid, without breathing, without eating, and meditate? How long? If you fall asleep, it might be a bit longer. What else? Some of you are thinking about that already, I can see. Some of you are thinking very much about prasadam. Some of you are thinking, oh God, when's he going to finish? I'm too embarrassed to stand up and walk out. I wish he'd be quiet, you know, I could get on with my life. Who invited him here? And all kinds of things going on in the mind. We're thinking of our kids, we're thinking of our work, we're thinking of our headache, we're thinking of 1,000,001 things. You can't meditate for long usually, even if you start meditating for a few minutes on a candle or whatever people meditate on, so-called meditate. It's not easy. And we're not able to perform austerities very much either. And our ability to ascertain or to analyze and understand, to assimilate the Vedic knowledge, we don't have intelligence in this age of Kali. What does Krishna say? Persons who are intelligent in the age of Kali, Krishna, was it in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, in one of the, I don't remember what was it, Karabhajana Muni or somebody said, what is that famous verse? Krishna Varnam, loud and clear. Krishna Varnam, Krishna Krishna. Sanvopangastra Parshadam, Yagyaya Sankitanam Prayir, Yajantihi Simedashaha. What does it mean? Intelligent persons in this age of Kali, what do they do? Huh?
They worship Krishna in the form who is not in his
original blackish form, in a non-blackish form, golden form. They worship Krishna in that form. How? That Lord who is always doing? Performing Sankirtan Yoga, they're always chanting the holy names. This is an intelligent person at this age. She said, you are a fool. You always chant the holy names. No other method can result in the final objective goal of Krishna, Paramartha Mahan, love of God. Others may lead to liberation, maybe. The love of Godhead, no. Only through devotional service. So we've been given this process. Kirtan, Sankirtan, Lord Chaitanya, then the world exploded in Sankirtan and love of God was just going everywhere. We can do the same thing. We may not be on the same level of consciousness, but performing Sankirtan Yoga in the order of our Guru, it's the order of Lord Chaitanya, that this, by the mercy of Krishna, everyone is eligible for love of God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A great benedictions from hearing this interaction that, which we have read by hearing these pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ishvara Puri. One is guaranteed that one can gain love of Godhead. It just may take a little time, that's all. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much, and we're finished there. If anyone has any questions, hard luck. You can come and see us afterwards if you want to. It sounds like it.
Maharaj, would you like to take a couple of questions?
I don't mind, but you have your own program going on. We're probably an hour later already, I guess.
No, it's okay if you're happy to.
You better, this is democratic society. Well, if there's a question or two, if anyone wants to go and, tank up, please go ahead and do so. Any questions? Please, those from this local community, if you have others who are not from this community, please give way and control your senses. Anyone like to ask any questions from this local community or we don't see very often? Anybody? Come on. Brave souls. Yes, there's a hand or two at the back there. I saw you this morning. Yes, you can. You didn't ask one this morning, so you can ask one this evening.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class, Maharaj. Maharaj, my question is, you mentioned how the holy places are the embassies to the spiritual world, and how we should, in the holy places, listen to spiritual knowledge. So, my question is spiritual knowledge obtained or listened to in a holy place more potent than spiritual knowledge heard elsewhere?
Heard in hut.
Yeah, for example.
Is it more potent? Well, it does say that if you chant the holy name in Vrindavan Dham, you get the 1,000 times the benefit. Isn't it? There are statements like this. However, we also, did everyone know, I think we had the microphone, you heard. However, by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the grace of the pure devotees, you can get the same effect by their mercy. Normally would say, that's the case. But by the grace of the pure devotees who bring Vrindavan wherever they go, you're hearing in Vrindavan. Because they're bringing Vrindavan right here in hut. You can have a hut right here in Vrindavan, or a hut in here, in hut. Or you can have a hut in Vrindavan. They're both Vrindavan because the pure devotees have brought the holy name here. They brought Vrindavan here itself. They brought Mayapur here itself. But that depends on your consciousness. You may feel more, let's say uplifted, inspired when you're in Vrindavan to hear. You may feel more serious, less inclined towards sense gratification. Vrindavan's here, but we may not be here. You're sat in your room chanting in front of your television set, or, doing millions of other things at the same time. That means you're not really in Vrindavan. Although Vrindavan's there, we're not there. But when you go to Vrindavan, generally speaking, you don't sit in front of the television. What do you take a suitcase? You've got your television in the suitcase. You sit there for 2 weeks watching TV. That isn't why you go to Vrindavan. Or to go on Facebook or whatever it is, social media and everything else that we normally do. Or talk about this thing and that thing. You don't generally do that when you go to Vrindavan. At least you shouldn't do. There is a golf course if you're into golf in Vrindavan now, by the way. If you like golf, you can play golf in Vrindavan now. There's a golf course there. But that's not where we go there. There's swimming pools there also. There's fancy hotels there also. There's shopping malls coming up. You can do those things, but that's not what we go there for. You do that here. You see, so although you get an opportunity of the same benefit here, the tendency is we don't take it. It's not so easy to take it here. Whereas in Vrindavan or Mayapur or any holy place to some different extents, there is this greater opportunity to plug in to this transparent media. Whereas here we have a tendency to plug into other things more. You understand? Does that make sense? Yeah. So try to create Vrindavan here in the hut, or wherever you're living. Without, you can't force people. We're surrounded also by circumstances, maybe even your own family. You can't force it. You can't make that. Maybe your family don't like it. You have to be a little secretive almost. It's more difficult to create that environment Whereas in Vrindavan, if you're going down the street chanting Hare Krishna, is anyone going to tell you to shut up? If you carry on that, we're going to arrest you. What's that stuff on your forehead? You know, you're a cult. Does anyone say that in Vrindavan? I don't think so. I've never heard it. Everyone comes out and joins you, practically speaking. Jai, Radhe, Radhe, Haribo. You don't get that very often in Wellington. You're on the street chanting, and everyone, some people may, but most people aren't like, you know, running out in the shops, you know, offering you prasadam and chadas and Haribo, 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 you know, very rarely, isn't it? Oh God, just go away, you're disturbing my business. Right? It's different. You know, one I remember the family's got the television blazing, another one's got rock music blazing, another one's screaming their head off, and, you know, and you're, oh, it's hard to create that Vrindavan mood. But if you can get the same beneficial effect. So the temple is supposed to create that mood. Sangha is supposed to create that Vrindavan mood. It's supposed to. So you're all inspired to put Krishna in the center. Not this thing and that thing. No distractions. So if you can create that right here and now, you're on. You're in Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. They're all scared. They don't know what's coming next. That was just an introduction. Now the real thing begins. Okay. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, for gracing us with your presence and singing the nice melodious kirtan and bhajan, and also giving us information on Gauralila, focusing on reciprocation. We hope that you can, would love to host you again the next time you're in Wellington, and by that time we'll sort out and make the chair a little bit more comfortable for you as well. So let's all thank Maharaj for his time and for passing us information and the mercy to us. By that, we chanting the Hare Krishna mantra one more time.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Now Maharaj is in Wellington for a few more days, so there are other opportunities to hear from Maharaj. There's a couple of programs tomorrow and on Monday. So tomorrow there is a Bhagavatam class at the temple at 7:30 a.m. Followed later on by an initiation ceremony starting from around midday. Then on Monday morning, there is also another Bhagavatam class.
No, there's no class.
No Bhagavatam class? Okay. So just a discourse in the evening?
Evening time.
Just a discourse in the evening at 7:30 p.m. at the temple with prasadam afterwards. So if there is anybody who would like to go, please send your RSVPs to me and I'll coordinate and pass it on to Jaji Om Prabhuji as well. So thank you very much. So just a couple of announcements in terms of the prasadam and the whole rent. So today the prasadam and the whole rent has actually been sponsored by Amrish